Welcome to the Writer's Block, episode 13, or I guess kind of 15 if you consider the interviews to be part of the episodes, but I consider those to be something else. Anyways, welcome. I'm Todd. We got Andy with us today. Hope you had a happy holiday. Hope you're getting ready for the new year, because that's going to be tomorrow, when you're watching this.
It is going to be, yes, it is New Year's Eve when you're watching this.
Yeah.
I thought we were still 2 weeks ahead. So I was like, wait a minute. No,
I used
we're
to
only
think
1 week.
that, and then I got hit in the head with the frisbee, and now everything is clear. Now everything makes sense. So yeah, we're, uh, life. But yeah. So yeah, hope everything was great. Anyways, we're gonna talk about writing. Yeah. So, Andy, take it away. We were
I know
gonna.
everybody is so surprised that we're going to talk about writing today. But I thought, for a nice New Year's Eve episode, we could just talk about, I guess this is some breaking news, if we can call it that, but we eventually want to co-write a novel.
Yeah.
For us. So we're gonna riff on that, kind of like brainstorm ideas, and then we're also going to talk about our own. We're going to continue to talk about our own novels, but expand from the 2-part episode of world building and character building, and kind of diving deeper into
the
story itself. What drives these characters to do the things they do, and without giving too much away.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. We probably should have talked about exactly how into detail we want to go with this. Personally, I don't have any like limits. We can talk about every detail. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
I know we're still like early on in the idea, which is, mind if I just go ahead and say it?
Go ahead.
All right. So, okay. Actually, here's a good question. All right. Setting New Orleans, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Basically, there's two factions that are vying for control. There's this mafia family, this mob group. Guess which one of us is writing that perspective. And then the other perspective the other faction is this cult group that is led by this, cult of personality figure who's actually built a huge following. The kind of following that would have, the FBI looking at you pretty closely. Although one thing I don't remember is exactly when this takes place. Is this contemporary? Are we going with the 60s, 70s?
I think I have. There's a Google Doc that I could technically look up right now, but I want to be professional and not look it up. But I feel like it was contemporary. I feel like we were just going to go with the flow, like it was present day, because it's fiction. Who cares? But I could be completely wrong. Or I could look up that Google Doc if you would like me to.
Or rather than that, let's just riff and see. Let's just consider the different pros and cons to when the story would take place. So, for example, the mafia was a bit more powerful back in the 60s and 70s.
70s, yeah. So 70s were the big, from what I can remember from that Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Which I recommend you guys watching. It's called Bugging the Mob. There's a 3-part documentary series on Netflix. Very interesting.
Not a paid promo.
Not a paid promo.
Legitimate endorsement of this documentary.
And I guess I also have a confession to make. I was kind of bummed out when the mob bosses got arrested at the end of the documentary.
Yeah. To be honest with you, like it's like it's how I felt at the end of was it Wise Guys or Goodfellas? Goodfellas.
Yeah.
The end of that movie when
Wise Guys. Oh God.
Listen, my memory, it's been going downhill for a long time now. Pretty soon I'm gonna forget to even upload this podcast. But before that happens,
that would be bad.
Yeah. What are we talking about? Anyways, Goodfellas. So at the end of that film, it always gives me the same vibes where you see this like once vibrant, cool family. Like I always remember that shot where the main guy and his gal pal, I can't remember their names. but they're
It's been so long. I have to rewatch all those Italian mobster movies. I mean, I've seen them a bunch, but it's been at least 5 years.
yeah, I mean, it's a good film. I probably watch it every couple of years just because it's pretty good. But it's
I mean, De Niro's in it, so it's going to be good.
yeah. But the main character is the voice of Tommy Vercetti in Vice City. If you didn't know that, I can picture it, like
I did not know that.
His gal pal is the therapist for Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, but I can't
Never seen
remember
The Sopranos
either
either.
Really?
Well, I never had HBO Max or HBO, so
Damn. It's worth it's not an
They
easy
still-
watch sometimes, but it's worth it.
do they still make the DVD season collections that I can buy?
They probably do. They probably do. Although I don't know if it's worth it because they're probably going to charge you $180.
Probably.
But anyways, the point I was getting to is like, you remember that shot of the two of them walking through the club? They go in through the back door, they walk through the kitchen. It's a single shot, no cuts or anything. And they get their table, and it's got one of those cool doo-wop songs playing in the background. And it's like the peak of the movie and of the characters, life, I guess. And then like they do that heist, and then like next thing you know, everyone's getting whacked.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes to, without, I guess I probably shouldn't spoil too much of this. Spoiler alert. But anyways, it's all downhill from there. And eventually, like, the whole family's gone. And it's like, man, but what was cool though, they played some cool music. I mean, they might have murdered a lot of people, but like, anyways, yeah, same kind of thing. Got me, it triggered that memory. So
Yeah, no, it's that I was very bummed out when they got all those when they found all the mob bosses.
yeah.
I was just like, oh, damn, which is a terrible thing to say because they did terrible things.
Yeah. As far as I know, the mob's still fairly active in Sicily. So if you want to go back to the roots,
If I want to go to a life, well, no, we're from Calabrese. It's northern Italy.
I was gonna say we're talking about where my family's from.
Yeah, this is where your family. We're not because Sicilians consider themselves their own separate entity. You're not Italian, you're Sicilian.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will say I'm pretty far removed from any sort of Sicilian culture, but I know I know a little bit. I mean, I don't know how to. So that one town, Piscano or Piscaino, I don't know how to pronounce it perfectly, but shout out to my old ancestors and current existing distant cousins who still live there. But
I learn some Italian phrases every once in a while. I learned a new one today.
What's that?
I'm not gonna say it on air.
Oh.
I learned that one today. It's a good one. We call it grandma always says we're gonna make you a better Italian yet every time I learn something new. I'm like, okay, as I don't look anything like my mom, and so I have what my grandmother calls the Colenso look, which is her side of the family, because I look exactly like my dad. And that's what my dad looks like.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, I got more Italian genes when I was born compared to my brother.
I think usually you get more DNA from your mother's side.
I thought so.
But I mean, there's certain like characteristics and genes that you might get more so than from the other.
Yeah.
So
definitely, my brother definitely looks more like on my mom's side, other than the hair. That got dark hair like I do. But I digress. That's a lot of family background information there in a short amount of time.
Yeah, my family background's a bit more mixed. Like I'm like a quarter Sicilian and then quarter Polish, and then the rest is like a mix of like British / Irish / German / like it's I don't even know what I'm supposed to look like after all of that.
Since moving down here, I now tell people, and living with my grandparents, I tell people when you stick a needle in my arm, oil and garlic shoot out of my veins. It's not blood. It's oil and garlic and then pasta sauce. And we always have pasta sauce in the freezer just in case we have company. And I learned that today because I thought it was just a sin not to. But she's like, no, in case someone walks through the door and you're like, you want to stay and have a pot of macaroni.
Well, I mean, classic.
Sauce is
Buy one,
already
get one
there.
at the store.
Wait, get the fuck out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
What a schmuck.
What-
But no, like for me, when you cut up in my veins, you just get coffee.
yeah, I do have. I drank a lot of coffee today. Well, and an energy drink. But anyway, so saying I watched a documentary about Italian mob and saying I was bummed out, that took a hard left turn.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it even. I mean, we can it circles back to because isn't your cult leader an environmentalist? Isn't that what we talked about? I think that was a long time
to be completely
ago.
sure, I'd have to consult with the Google Doc, but
I mean, you can if you want.
I don't even know if I have access to it. I'm sure I've got an email that has it linked somewhere, but I mean, it's not that big a deal. I mean, the core. Oh yeah, I'll talk for like a minute, and then you can do your thing. Try to find out, or shoot. I assume that's what you're doing. But anyways,
yeah, I'm gonna try to find it right now. Keep going. I'm listening.
The idea. Yeah. Well, most importantly, I hope the audience is listening.
That would be even better.
But the idea came from. So I got a friend who, he's like this very charismatic, very charismatic, extroverted, and he has this amazing ability to just get people to like, not follow him, but just like, he's got a large group of friends. I'm just like one person kind of on the outside, but like he's got this massive group of friends, and he's wherever he goes, he manages, like, he's able to just make new friends and to build that group and hold on to that group over time, and like there's a couple times where we've hung out and like we'll be out somewhere like at wherever, and he'll see somebody he knows, like he's he's only like, I think it's only 20, 24, 25, and he's got this uncanny ability to just like, I don't know, like I knew everyone kind of just flocks to him, and they listen. And anyway, the point being, I was like, I kind of took this idea and I sort of, or this person, and then I kind of like completely, detached it from him. And so now I'm thinking, okay, so we've got this really charismatic person, he has these followers, and I started thinking, oh, what if I add like a sort of like cult like element to it, and made it so that all the people were kind of like hyper focused on, they're the leader of their group, and trying to achieve that leader's goals. And I'm pretty sure the idea might have been in our previous brainstorming session was to have him be like maybe a uber environmentalist, like to the extent of possible eco-terrorism.
I think that's what we talked about.
Yeah, which it's something that works. To be honest with you, if you're doing a modern day clash, it would work perfectly for New Orleans, because climate change is gonna end up probably sinking New Orleans, considering it's like all under sea level. So you could end up with this like eco-terrorist group that's this basically a cult that's following this cult of personality leader, and that's clashing with essentially with this resurging mafia group, or organization family, the Camaro crime family. And I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still struggling to figure. Oh, there you go. Hold on.
But yeah, it's like a lot. I think the book is, and I think I want to say that there was also like some election stuff involved, or like,
yeah, I think we were
whole,
talking about maybe one of them was
like running for mayor or governor, or something like that. It's it's just this like push and pull tug of war in an effort to gain power and kind of not take over the city, but just be in control of the city, whether it's officially or unofficially. Obviously the mob, they can control it, but it would be easier for the mob to control the city if they can control all the municipal functions through the mayor and council. So you could. I mean, that's where a lot of like law enforcement procedures are put into place, so they could easily change the legal code of New Orleans if they control the mayorship and the council, from the mafia's point of view. And then of course from this cult group, I haven't really like
I found it.
uh, I still don't know like what to do with the cult leader. Like in some ways they've got like good intentions, but it has like I don't want to be like, oh, look at this cult, they're great. So I've got to I got to find a way to again, I haven't looked at my notes on this in quite some time. And whatever they end up doing, it's kind of be like maybe they're gonna have like some kind of just end, but they're gonna have unjust means, and so that will probably be what makes them bad.
Yeah. So okay, what it looks like is 2015. Looks like it would take place.
Yeah.
So it's contemporary. That's what I have going here.
We should. I almost want to say we should do a future like 2025. Jump
ahead. Well, this is also, we talked about this in what, July?
Was it this year though? I feel like
it was
a long time ago.
It was this year. Wow. It was before we started recording the podcast.
It was. Damn. That was a long time ago. I mean, July wasn't that long ago, but like
it was a long time ago.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It was a really long time ago. Storm Area 51 thing. Well, that fit like forever ago. Anyways, maybe we can find a way to like get aliens in this. But anyways, like I think the real question is there's this push and pull of power, and as a reader, you're going to be reading like each chapter will kind of. But the idea I think is for it to alternate perspectives each chapter. So like one chapter you're seeing through the eyes of the capo of the Tamara crime family, or maybe you're looking at through the eyes of Don Andy. I don't remember exactly what the main
Lupino mob family is what we have written down here.
Lupino.
Yeah, which I don't know if I can use because I'm pretty sure that's like an actual family tree last name. I'm pretty sure Lupinos is like Lupinos is like my grandmother's mother's maiden name. I'm pretty sure is Lupino. So I don't know if I could use that in the book.
I was gonna say in Max Payne, the first one, there's a main character, there's an antagonist, I think, named Jack Lupino. But I mean, you can use it if you want. If you don't want to use it, you can use my great grandfather's last name, Tamburello. That's a cool name. I would show the picture of my great grandfather, but I don't think it'll show up well at all on the camera.
Oh man,
it looks just like, I'm telling you, when you got the mustache, you look like my great grandfather from the late 20s.
Yeah,
that might have been 30s.
It's pretty scary.
He was, when was he born? 1914. Yeah, never got to meet him myself, but
I guess I find that mafia stuff so fascinating because it would be different if it's like, oh yeah, you're Italian, so you must be like, mafia, but they actually like knew people, had friends, like it.
Yeah,
they weren't involved, but my grandparents, like, it was around them, and they had like my dad had friends whose like family members were in it, and so that's what's fascinating. So that's why at the end, when like, obviously I don't condone beating someone over the head with a baseball bat to a pulp because they got caught cheating or stealing. Yeah. Okay, let's get that out of the way right now.
Yeah, whatever you say, man. I kind of had a different experience with it. Not experience, but like my Sicilian family was escaping all of that, from what I've been told.
Okay.
And they came here like 1905, 1910-ish, and like in that time period. And I mean, if I remember correctly, my great grandmother was in some ways like ashamed of, because there was apparently like she wouldn't talk about it, and so like about any kind of back, and I think whatever connections there were came from Sicily itself, not from any American organization
Mhm.
because like everything that I've heard so far, it all involves my great grandfather's line, actually, the Tamburellos, with there being some kind of murder and this revenge murder that happened and needing to flee the country and like I haven't been able to verify any of this because like it's hard to get records from back then, but I mean it's one of those things where like maybe but yeah that's kind of my only real connection to any mob stuff or my you know any family stories to it. But I still like I kind of I don't want to say I grew up hearing mafia stuff, but like I grew up playing the Grand Theft Auto games, and there's a heavy mob presence in those games, and so I always thought it was cool. I mean, one of the I've talked about it here before. One of the first like long-term short story series I ever did, like probably the biggest one I've ever
Yeah.
done, is mob related. I always thought it was cool.
And well, it's funny because um the I don't know, this always goes back to Robert B. Parker and his Jesse Stone series, but the most recent book that was obviously like written because he died, but there was I had skipped a couple in the series because it just didn't interest me. I should go back and read the whole thing, but
Use Spark Notes.
that too. I don't know if they would even have Spark.
I have no idea.
I don't know. We can
I
always
don't use
check.
Spark Notes.
Okay. Anyway, but there was a it was I can't, but there was a mob that like was trying to take over the small town, and it just was weird. It like they blew up like the bridge that connected the town to like
Yeah,
the main land, like
yeah. So
Massachusetts. And then so it's like they blew up the bridge.
yeah,
So now that they're like stuck, I don't know. I didn't read it, so I don't know exactly what happened, but because then the
yeah.
character who like blew the bridge up came back and was actually like a good guy in the book, but he was a bad guy before.
That's weird.
But it was
Yeah,
weird. And then another one that another Robert B. Parker book was there was a Ukrainian mob
yeah.
presence in that. So there's mob, like I feel like there's a lot of crime novels that I've read or shows that have at least one episode or like a mini, you know how you have like different parts
Yeah.
within like or to be continued or whatever, it has mob stuff in it.
Mhm.
So it's always I feel like it's the presence is there a lot more
Yeah.
than you actually notice or think about.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, organized crime, you know, it just happens to have a hint of tomato sauce. But,
I don't think LA Noir, because when you
oh,
move up to Vice, there's no you're trying to stop
was, I honestly, I
the
haven't played that game since like 2012. So
the uh
I couldn't tell you
I
if they
thought
had
about
any.
playing I thought about playing some actually tomorrow, but uh oh my god, what the heck? I can't think of the drug, but it comes back from the war
Was
and
it
and you shoot it. It's in
morphine?
a morphine, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not it's devices. You're worrying about the morphine,
Yeah.
but then the side crimes are like dope or
Yeah.
whatever else. But there was no organized crime in that one. But I mean, they
Yeah.
do make the mafia game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also
I've
like,
never played that.
yeah, like
I
mafia
lived
can
it.
also, it can be, it doesn't have to be like theoretically, like if, like if my short stories, which will never be published that are mob related. There, I have like a Russian mafia organization. There's an Irish mafia organization. They all of the Irish ones they got beaten pretty badly, But I had a lot of fun with those short stories. But anyways, yeah. So I I don't know what the end goal is necessarily, or what I mean, obviously the whole story is going to build up to some kind of direct confrontation between the two groups. Although we still have to figure out exactly like what
Yeah,
that
because
is, what
I
that's
was
going to look
looking.
like.
It looked like we were leaning towards power within the government.
Yeah, which ideally, of course, like we could have it.
Because we thought about, I do remember we thought about mayoral, but that's too small. So we thought about like governor or, congressperson.
Actually, mayor might be perfect. I mean, it's pretty localized. I mean, and also like it'd be hard to have like you could run for governor, but like that's more. I don't know if the capital of New Orleans is even or Louisiana is even New Orleans. I think it's something else, which I can find out right now.
That I don't know what the capital of Louisiana is, but I don't think it is either.
Baton
I
Rouge,
think, Baton Rouge.
which is somewhere.
Baton Rouge. That's right. That's where LSU plays football. Anyway, that's not important. But I think we picked New Orleans because it's a port, and that's how they were going to. Without, I don't know how much we're giving. I mean, we're just spitballing here, but they were going to smuggle.
Baton Rouge is pretty close to New Orleans, so I guess that would work.
It could be like someone else's territory, and they feel like New Orleans is the perfect port because they're smuggling drugs from, what did we say, Cuba?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember. So but also like it depends on like each group has their own long-term goals, right? Like
they're gonna take but they also had their own. What I can recall now that we're talking about it, I think one of them had an airstrip.
I think my cult
you guys
had an airstrip
outside
of town,
and I was running. I think because from the documentary it was construction, waste management.
What was waste management?
And those were the two big ones. So I think we picked waste management because that was easier to, that's where you dump all the bodies and in the landfill.
I feel like the real question is like what it's like each side has like a different set of goals. Like my cult group, it sounds like, if I can remember correctly, it's all about like probably some kind of radical ecological change, and your group is just more like self-sufficiency, self-sustainability, making money, growing the business, possibly legitimizing it more in some ways. And that's best done by taking some kind of, political power. And it's like both groups need political power, but only one's going to get it. So what happens if, so like, the real question also is like long-term, like the direct confrontation could be the race for mayor or governor. And then, one's going to win. And the question is, how does the other one react? Maybe that's the real confrontation,
Because we weren't going to try to, I don't know if we were going to have like this big bloody shootout war thing. It was more,
I mean,
because we were trying to, I don't know if anybody ran the port or not. It's just so long ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I guess like it has to all make sense, of course, like,
we're not just doing,
Well, if your organization loses not loses, but does not win control of the state or of the city, then what happens? Now your arch rival is in control, and you can't have that. So you have to do something to preserve yourself, right? Because if these eco terrorists take control, and you guys have been a pain in the ass for the last 6 months, they're probably going to try to come at you, with some task forces, maybe calling the FBI. So you got to do something.
Because they could have FBI ties. Like whoever wins, I feel like we talked about how they had FBI, like a couple people in the FBI who also like, I guess they were, what do you call them? Bad, but they're not.
I guess corrupt.
Corrupt.
Yeah,
they were within the FBI, but they also agreed with like what the mafia thought about or what your equal.
That's one interesting thing. You could have it so that like maybe the cult wins the office position, whatever, and then the FBI agents working for the mob arrests him or something like that, arrest the main cult guy, and then maybe that triggers some kind of like, all or nothing response from all of the guy's minions, the cult followers that are like, okay,
Mhm.
we are willing to die to free our leader, because that, he needs to be in control because he's, the only one who can save Louisiana, whatever the
I wonder
idea
if
is.
this would work as a book or a short story series
Um,
that we could collect. Like we could.
I mean, we could release some as short stories and then combine them as a book. I mean, it's hard to say because like we still have to figure out exactly like what each chapter is going to be about. I
Yeah,
mean,
we definitely have to sit down. I mean, we've definitely progressed more in this podcast than we have with our
yeah, I mean,
co-authored
yeah. I
novel.
mean, we did some like brainstorming back then, but it was kind of like building the foundation in the I guess the world that we're
The,
gonna work
the
in.
idea, I guess,
Yeah, instead it's
because that was before. I mean, we talked about the podcast and came up with the name, but we never really started shooting it, and then we actually just finally decided to do the podcast because we had talked about it for over a year.
yeah. I don't think we
I
filmed until
think
September, something like that.
uh, August, I think.
Oh, was it August?
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah. But it's well. Speaking of novels, I actually opened up the document today and reread it 3 times, thinking I was going to spark something, and it's close.
Yeah.
So I think tomorrow might be the day that I start
Yeah.
writing some more, which is good.
Yeah. Fair
But
enough. Yeah. It's writing novels is weird. Like
I mean, you're the expert. You wrote one,
expert.
wrote two.
I
Compared to this chump you are,
technically I wrote 3, but who's
3.
counting?
Oh, that's right.
Well, I mean, so the first one was a long-term thing. I think I wrote the first one over the course of several months. God, I have to grab my journals because I originally wrote them in composition notebooks like this, like an idiot, and that was an awful idea. It was a 70,000 word book at the end of it all, which some of it I did add in that wasn't in the composition notebooks, but that one was drawn out. But the second book I wrote it in like just over a month, and that one's about 50,000 words. So like
You wrote a 50,000 word book in over a month, just a month.
it was like a month and 10 days.
Damn.
Yeah,
So you had that spark for.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Hello, kitty cat. Actually, so I have
Wait. So how did you keep that spark? Were you in? Were you in school or were you just working?
no. This was summer. Actually, it was late 2018, if I remember correctly. It wasn't.
So you're obviously working.
Yeah, I mean, I have been employed for quite some time now. Yeah, I was. What was? Let me hold on one second. I actually have a small little notebook that I keep all this information in, so I'm just going to go this way. And
Is it also in your kitchen? Because it's 9:40.
oh well.
I'd rather
yes,
not. I'd rather you not burn down your apartment. I can.
So much for subtleties.
Before, I mean,
All
between the cat and me talking about my novel, I can continue.
I'm gonna go get my notebook real quick. I'll be right back.
I guess while we're waiting for Todd to come back, we're gonna take a 5-minute pause here and have some quick talking points about our merch and my website, and to make sure you checked all those glorious websites, excuse me, out. As you can see, I'm not very good at plugging my own stuff. Oh, Todd's back already. Go check the oven, man. But you should definitely buy a merch. I have my sweatshirt on. It's very comfortable and cozy. I'm doing shameless plugs right now, and it's not working very well.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's one of those things you got to do.
I honestly thought you were going to be gone longer because I thought you had to turn off your oven.
Oh, I mean, pretty simple.
And I think you.
That's what I said. Turn off.
I thought you had to take stuff. That was it.
Yeah, it took stuff out too. Yeah.
Oh damn! I was like, oh, this is gonna be like at 5. I was like, oh, we're gonna take a 5-minute lunch break here, and I'm gonna try to shamelessly plug my website and the merch.
I mean, by all means, if you're
no, we're good. No, we're good. We'll do that. We'll do that at the end.
So I started this little notebook here, but I currently keep a journal for writing about life and all of its wonderful things in this really cool looking journal. But back then, I didn't have a journal, so I just kept everything down in this little tiny notebook. So
I think I have the same one.
it's got a little strap on it,
Yeah, I have the same one. Is it blue? Is it blue?
This is black.
Oh, I have a blue one over there.
Genuine bonded leather. Yeah.
All right. Good. Sorry. That was.
It's it's got tan paper, lines. It's great for writing. Anyway, so I wrote. So the first entry in here is from March of 2017 when I first started writing my first novel, Fairly Human. Now, it looks like I finished it that August, so 5 months. And then so there's that. Now let me jump ahead to okay, so that second book I wrote, I started July 8th, apparently. Yeah, so I started writing it July 8th. By July 21st, I hit 20,000 words.
Damn.
By July 26th, I hit 30,000 words. August 1st, I hit 40,000 words. And August 6th, actually a little less than a month, I hit 50,000 words. And I finished writing. Oh, okay. So I finished writing August 17th at 59,000 words, almost 60, like just 60 words shy of 60,000. Fun fact, right underneath that update, I have a small little note about I was at the time, apparently I was trying to turn my Mafia short story series into something better. It was going to take place in I think it was going to take place in it was going to take place in New York City, but it's going to call it something else. Guess I never did that, but anyways, yeah. And then my most recent one, I don't know if I wrote in here for my most recent one. Doesn't look like it. Wait a minute. Okay, so yeah, I didn't. I kind of just forgot that this notebook existed after 2019. So, but yeah, once you get
a whole different world back then.
Yeah, honestly, back in 2019, we were storming Area 51. But anyways, yeah, when that second book I wrote, I mean, the spark hit, and it was just like
you were there for
wow.
I mean,
yeah, it was a month and a week, 59,000 words. I will say that this came after extensive outlining. I use this like note card method. This is for a now canceled story that is very reminiscent to Stephen King's Carrie. But I have note cards for basically every single scene, so that like I can follow through to the end, and then I can also add in note cards for new scenes. But like this way, I kind of have everything in a way.
See, I am not that organized.
Here's a plug.
I have this.
This idea came from a book my uncle recommended to me called Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. Read this whole thing one day. No, well, yeah, I think it was one day actually.
Save this cat. He's still sitting over here. Just can't see him.
I mean, can your cat hang on the rope? I mean, fun fact, this book has nothing to do with cats or saving them. It's actually a book about, it's the last book on screenwriting that you'll ever need. But it applies to more than just screenwriting. It's basically structuring a story. I've got all these, little notes on it. Actually, let's see if I can find it. So yeah, these note cards are basically based off of this thing here, which tells you you have a brief description of the setting. Is it inside? Is it outside? Time of day? Where's it at? What's the main thing going on? Like here it says Bob confronts Helen about her secret. So like that's the general idea of this scene, and then, Bob starts out hopeful, ends up disappointed. Bob wants to know the secret. Helen can't tell him. So like these are the general things that
Huh.
you keep in mind for this whole scene, but like the good thing about it is that, you're inside, so that gives you an idea of how to write about what's going on. It's going to be cooler because it's inside, or maybe not because the AC is not working. It's day, so maybe it's sunny out, but you don't have to worry about the sun because you're indoors. But maybe it's shining through the blinds and it's blinding you, or if it's nighttime, wow, it's dark out. Basically, it's a way of organizing and structuring everything. And I wrote Fairly Human after this, and I think that's what helped me get to 70,000 words, because I had it so organized. Now I think for my third book, my most recent one, I don't think I wrote note cards. Oh, I might have. I can't remember, believe it or not, but yeah. If you want to borrow that book, by the way, I mean, I never really look at it anymore, so
I might. I mean, again, I only have my memo pad. Was it memo pad, lawyer pad, whatever? I don't know what the hell they call it. I have this.
I got a few books,
but
I took one class in creative writing, which helped, and it was good. Shout out to Miss Greer if you're watching. But I also did some other. Obviously, I before I wrote Fairly Human, I was doing a lot of research, like what should I do? What are the good books to look at? And Save the Cat was a good one for my uncle, but the general books online that I heard that were good were The Art of Dramatic Writing by Lajos, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Lajos Egri, and The Art of Creative Writing. I will say I haven't read these back, front to cover, but front cover to back, front to back, whatever. But they were made for writing plays, but much like with the screenwriting book, like it's at the end of the day, it's all about writing, creative writing, and dramatic writing.
You're putting my creative writing degree to shame right now.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know necessarily if this is all like this is a cheap man's creative writing.
I think I still have the books at home. What I need to do is, if I ever take the, what is it, 17 hour? Is it 17 hour? No, it's like, it's 3 hours to get to the house from here by plane if you get direct flights. But driving is, because it's 10 hours to get to Raleigh, because that's where we stopped coming down here. And I can't remember it took 2 days because we broke it up. But anyway, I need to drive. Next time I drive home, I need to find it. No,
I was gonna say that's
but I need to.
Could be fun,
because you can't. I definitely couldn't pack the box and fly it back.
You don't think we could mail it back at the post office or UPS?
I could. That'd be expensive.
$40. Or just luggage containers. How much stuff do you have? Can you fit it all in the suitcase?
You could, but it wouldn't be very organized.
Yeah.
Like it's a nice, it's a box. It's organized. And then I have some books.
I recommend the U.S. Postal Service. They're great. You can get it all the way from the Adirondacks here to Tampa Bay. So,
but I sound like a broken record, but I need to do the research, but also I kind of just want to see if I can go and write, because I was rereading it today and I was like, okay, it's not as bad as like last month when I opened it. November 7th was the last time I looked at it.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm like, this sucks. And then today I was like, okay, this is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to sound, because it doesn't sound like, there's definitely details that probably are going to need to be tweaked for
Yeah.
like technical details regarding like the detective way of working and maybe time frame for when. I think so far the biggest thing for me is the turnaround between getting a preliminary cause of death after finding the girl's body washed up on like the shoreline.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like Twin Peaks.
it was, I think it was, I mean, it was like maybe half a page. Well, there was also a page break, but it was during the same day. So by that point, they had shipped, they had gotten, I mean, I skipped all this part, but they had gotten the body off the beach to the county, whatever, county morgue, had the coroner look through it. And then after preliminary, are you watching my cat?
Hard not to.
I don't know what he's doing.
He's watching you.
He is watching me. Dang it. Well, I've got his treats behind my computer, so that's probably what he's up. Oh, we're gonna go spy on the. Now he's spying on the neighbors. He's created that hole. If you can see that hole through the blind there,
Yep.
He has created that himself. I did not buy the blind. See, now he goes through it. There you go. You go sit on the windowsill. Anyway, so he does. Well, he also makes an appearance in my novel. He is the trusty sidekick.
Captain Sully.
It is, but so the turnaround between finding like getting the body to the county morgue and then the coroner does the autopsy, but the preliminary report is pretty much right there. And I don't know how true that is, but from what I can recall, like the preliminary before they like dive deep into like the actual cause of death.
Yeah.
But preliminary, the key word there is preliminary. So
yeah. Pulmonary.
Maybe I need to go to a bookstore and take out like books on stuff like that. I don't know.
I mean, you could
or
probably
the
read
library.
Yeah, probably read articles.
Yeah.
Like, what standard procedures for determining a cause of death. Preliminary is usually found within 4 to 6 hours. And
yeah.
Final cause is usually
because then
within 2 weeks.
And then I go into a guy who basically recreates the face because it's pretty mangled, and that takes a little bit longer. That takes like 14 hours. The guy pulls an all-nighter, sort of thing.
Yikes!
So, yeah.
Well,
if you read the prologue, which is on my website, you would understand what I'm talking about.
I don't think I've read the prologue yet.
That's tough.
Or if I have, I completely
forgot.
Yeah, which, I mean, to be honest, is standard with everything I come across these days.
That's fair. But that's okay. That's another view on my website, which
you might get a little notification.
Yeah,
about an hour.
That's fine. But that's, so maybe tomorrow. I've been getting back into reading again, like mystery novels. So that's kind of sparking, but I haven't had that spark since July. I had the short story one, but this novel one, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
I had tough. 3 days.
I mean, it's like, I have to be really like, for example, my most recent book, it wasn't really like super planned. It was kind of a sequel idea that I had kind of touched on, kind of developed. And then suddenly I just really wanted to just write it. I just wanted to do it, because I had a second book idea that kind of fell apart, just didn't end up working. And so I ended up like mixing that with those elements with like this other, with the sequel, I kind of just combined the two, combined some of the characters, and it, I was like, I'm going to do this. But I think I wrote that in 2020. I think.
You wrote it last year?
I didn't write it this year. I haven't, this is probably the first year I haven't written anything. Well, not entirely true. I wrote Fairly Human in 17. I wrote the Enigmatic Marsden in 18. Oh, was it 19? Yeah, it was 19. I don't remember.
I knew you I met you in September when I got hired,
Yeah,
and
just
then we
past
didn't.
September.
19
Yeah,
and 19. It's been 2 years.
I'm trying to think. So let me just
Because then I didn't know that you were into writing until you started doing overnights consistently.
yeah, times.
Oh
I
man,
will say, for the record, I didn't talk a lot about writing with people. Like it was,
I don't
it's
think
always
I
like
really did. I don't know how it came up.
some somebody told me you're a English major and that you were intending to be an author,
How
and
the
I was
hell
like,
did I tell?
I have no
Oh,
idea. I mean, that was. I remember. I think we were working one day, and I just kind of like, just I was like, "Hey,
hey, yeah, because
I
I don't
write
know.
too."
I don't know if I who the hell. Maybe I did tell. Maybe I told Mike G or Rocco because I wouldn't have told anybody else.
It might have been. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I actually I finished writing the Enigmatic Marsden. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I wrote that in 2018. I had to rewrite parts of it in 2019 because the ending was kind of dooky. So I had to uh, just kind of rebuild it. And I did that in September of 2019, actually.
Hmm.
And then it released. It released in 2019, I guess. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's something. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I should write in here more. I released the sequel to that one this year, I think. This past June. But I don't think I had anything come out in 2020. I think 2020 was like, you know, pandemic bullshit.
2020. Oh, that drove me to start my website. Actually,
Well, 2020 was there's just a lot going on.
there was a lot going on in
Yeah,
2020. There's a lot going on in 2021 too, as it comes to a close. Huh.
yeah. Wow. Okay, so apparently I wrote the sequel this year. I guess back in May. Oh, you know, sometimes it's like, wait a minute,
Oh
I did this.
God.
Yeah, I gotta say, if I'm having memory issues now, God help me when I'm 80.
That's what
I'm gonna
it's,
be gone.
I guess that's what it's like to be an author. You're either super organized or it's kind of like go with the flow.
What I blame is that like I know all this information. It's just all bouncing around in my head. It's like I have 1,000 filing cabinets, but they're all like blowing up, and so
Mm.
all the files are everywhere. And so like I just gotta concentrate. Although to be honest with you, if I were to just think to myself, what was I doing in May of this year? It'd take me a long time to figure that out. That's why I keep journals so that I don't have to think about my memories. I can just read them. But yeah, dementia for the win. But yeah. Anyways, though, yeah, I think next year I want to write
Oh,
more. But you know,
I need to get on it because March is right around the corner.
I mean, you know, it's I think my uh, policy, I guess, for myself is I'll try to give myself personal deadlines, but if I don't meet it, then I don't meet it. But if I publicly put out a deadline, then I don't want to miss that because like usually that comes in the forms of release dates on Amazon and
Mhm.
pre-orders and stuff like that. Now, granted, I don't know if anyone pre-orders it or if anyone even notices it, but I don't want to be like, hey, I have to delay this because I'm lazy, or not necessarily lazy, but just maybe I'm not having that sort of magical creative inspiration that you need that I tend to get sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's
The most intense I've ever had it was 2018 when I wrote the Enigmatic Marsden. That one, that was just like bam. I mean, I was writing several thousand words a day, and that was just
yeah,
yeah, it was
Yeah, no, that's I mean, I said March on here. I also said I was gonna have my own little mini recording podcast thing. That still hasn't happened.
Yeah.
That was what, a month and a half ago. I just don't like how I sound.
Oh yeah.
And like and
On the podcast.
I just well when I was recording it,
Oh.
I just don't like how I just did it like 47 times and I finally went through it.
Oh, you mean you're okay? Okay, I thought you meant like on
Yeah.
the podcast. You mean you're
Oh
talking
no
about
no no no.
your audio book,
My
I guess.
audiobook thing. And then I was like, this first story was like written in college. And then I just happened to put it on, my website to be the first thing. And rereading it, I'm like, oh God. Because like from then, even with my critiques, which was a year ago to now, I feel like it's day and night.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how, maybe it's because I've been writing more. I've been quote unquote getting better and understanding more things.
How it goes. The more you write, the more you improve.
I mean, maybe I could just do the audio book for, irrational and all that.
Yeah, that would probably be a good start, to be honest.
But it's not going to be called, I'm not going to call it that.
Yeah.
I got to figure that out. It's because I'm going to, by the time this comes out,
chasing
something. Well, chasing is one of the
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole series is in a way is about this main character who's trying to reconnect, Well, yeah. And trying I don't know what you would call it, like maybe the heart's desire.
It sounds like a what are those soap operas?
Yeah.
Stop.
You should call it 50 Shades of You, since it's second person.
God. I was told never to have. I was told by my friend never to write a sex scene. I was like, okay. In my novels. I mean, I don't know if that's a whole separate topic we could talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to scenes like that, like I've written a couple of scenes where there's like intimacy, but like I don't like go into detail. Like it's just more like so and so is making love, and then like usually I'll write about the something starting, and then I kind of just that's
drift off.
Yeah. Well, I'll just kind of like jump ahead, like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, there was like
I'm not going to put into detail everything that happens. Like I don't think it's that important for the reader to know.
It's not.
Like,
well, just like because
the book I'm reading
now. True. The book I'm reading now I feel like it has too much detail at times. And like part of it was the main character and his wife were sitting at the kitchen table, and the main character's mom was coming over to help because they just had a kid and he had to go back to work to try to find this. This is the book Ace Atkins wrote, which it was based off of the murder in Ybor City. Oh, yeah. So, and his main character and his wife are just like sitting, and then they started making out, and then like the mom showed up, and they like had to buckle the pants back up, and I'm like, this is so unnecessary. This doesn't drive the story. I've noticed like between him compared to what I'm used to, like James Patterson, Robert E. Parker, it's dialogue, description, but it's not like afterthought, like, oh, look at the trees are extra bloomy, and because it's springtime and the rain is helping everything blossom. Like that's it. Like I don't have big details. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know if you prefer to have more detail oriented, scenes more detail like that.
It depends. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I think I don't have enough detail in my writing. So like whenever I'm writing, I try to make sure that I at least describe the surroundings. Like for my first book, there's a scene where the main character wakes up in a hospital, and so I remember like, all right, I got to describe the scene, this what is the main character saying, I'm like bleached white walls, the smell of cleaning, chemical agent. Like something to kind of like to trigger like any reader's memory of being in a hospital, basically. And I try to do that with each scene. I try to describe, well, it's a small town that they're in now, and blah blah blah. There's trees. I mean, like I try to do it, but it's always not the first thing I do. It's always kind of a secondary thing, and I think it's something I still need to work on, because like you don't necessarily have to provide every single detail, but I think it's important to know what you're looking at. Like if there's a scene going on, you should know where they're at. Are they in the kitchen? Are they sitting at the dining table? Are they in the living room?
It's the basic outline of the setting.
Like some of the stuff I don't even mention.
Okay, because it's like set it and then forget it.
Hmm.
Sort of like if you're self-recording and like for like on a GoPro or something. Like I watch aviation videos, and the pilots, when they're like by themselves, it's called MIC or PIC, pilot in command. And if they're alone, they have to really pay attention to what's going on, in the cockpit and then outside, compared to like the filmmaking side about the cameras and the audio and stuff. So this one guy's like, when I'm PIC, it's set it and forget it. And what picks up is picked up.
Yeah.
So that's, sometimes I take that into my scenes. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But then I add details here and there, like in my like in the latest story I dropped in the Irrational series, which is not going to be called that by the time this drops, but whatever. Anyway, it had you waking up because you're in a coma and you wake up in this field, and you say grass and it's sunny outside, but that's it. I don't have like the stones or the gravel feels like what on your feet.
Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah. I don't go that into detail. The gravel indents itself upon your foot.
Yeah, like sometimes this guy does that. I'm like, it's. I like the book, it's good, but that's too much. Like I don't need that.
Yeah, there's like I try to just hit the happy medium. I don't go with that into detail.
Just like the John Grisham book that I wrote, Camino Winds. Yeah, that was like they caught it. Just was very anticlimactic. They caught the killer, which you knew who it was. Pretty much 3/4 of the end of the book, and then we just had BS afterwards. It's like I don't need them like the town surviving after this Category 5 hurricane. Whatever. I don't need that.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. That's just me. Personal preference, which you can tell is in my writing.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. I've noticed. Yeah, I mean, I like to think that like you never really stop learning how to write. Like you know how to write, but you never stop learning new ways to kind of forge that story's path.
Doing this, I mean, I would have never ever thought about doing second person.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Same. Like I don't know. I didn't dabble in it as much as you did, but it was certainly interesting to kind of throw the reader into the pilot's spot, making them the main character. It's I think you did it much better than I did, especially with that first episode. It was first story. The original Irrational.
The original Irrational, I feel like out of the 5 or 6, it was the first one, the third one, and then the most recent one that I published. Those 3 I feel like are the best. The prequel was okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, you didn't feel that a raw emotion, I don't think. Which, I try.
Yeah.
I can't emulate how I was like, how I felt after writing the first one every single time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Yeah, honestly, I can't say that I even come close to figuring out how to trigger an emotional response from the reader. Like generally it comes from some kind of like the reader obviously has to be able to identify with whatever's going on. They have to be able to read that and think, gosh, this reminds me of my own situation, or I can understand completely how this is going, and I can relate to it in some way. It's not always easy to bridge those two, and make that connection. But if you can, and you can get that emotional response, then you've probably made a fan for life in some ways. Because at that point, they're like, wow, this person, they don't know it, but they get me.
Yeah.
So that's the trick.
That is the trick. I mean, we could go on and on and on about like picking. We could go on and on about like I don't know the different
Everything.
perspective with that, but also like different. It connects back to different perspectives and how to get like your reader engaged most. And we talked about that before, but you can talk about it again. I mean, we
Yeah.
felt. I know before we had like a skeleton of what we wanted to talk about in like earlier episodes, but now that
Yeah.
we just pick a general topic, it feels
More
like
natural.
yeah,
Yeah.
natural. We can explain it more. We can explain more without feeling tense, if you know what I mean, too.
Yeah.
So, but
I just thought we started off talking about our uh, book, and then
it just went
40 minutes ago.
That was, yeah. Well, we got into mafia talk, and it just,
Yeah,
it just went off the handle after that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could put in the comments below, or tell us if that's something that co-author Burke is something you're interested in us exploring more, that would be great.
Yeah.
Leaving a comment in general.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be a good Christmas gift for us.
That would be a great Christmas and New Year's gift.
Yeah,
wrapped all into one.
Yeah. No better way to bring in the new year than with a comment to your friendly neighborhood creative writers. But
yes,
yeah,
like I said before, by this point we will have the complete Rational series, which will be called something different, out for the public's eye to read in the order that it's meant to be written or read through. So if you haven't read any of them, just read and you want to read the whole thing in one sitting, that's great. That'd be wonderful, actually. That would be fantastic, actually, if you would read it, so I could, know if it was actually any good or not.
Find out if it's amazing.
Amazing. The ending's not as good as I'd hope it would be, but we can
always rewrite the ending.
I can fix it. I've been tweaking it.
It's like that book.
The ending's not the greatest, but it feels like it's how it needs to end. It's not some cliffhanger, but it needs to end like that.
Yeah, it's like the book that I wrote in like a month and 10 days. Like the ending was very, it's kind of cheap in a way. It was just not a fulfilling ending, and the ending I replaced it with ended up like, this actually came at the advice of an editor that I hired to look at it, and they were like, this is you should redo this and look at this. And I ended up shelving the whole project for a year. Like I wrote the book, didn't come out until 2019, so it just kind of sat there. But I ended up going back to it and I rewrote it, and that the new ending, it worked much better. So if you have that kind of ending where like it works, then do that. Yeah,
because I know after like the 3 that I had, I wanted to end it. It was ambiguous, is it gonna, is everything gonna work out as you want it to work out, or is it not gonna work out? But then people are like, keep going. I'm like, all right, we're gonna try here.
See what you can do.
Yeah, because that's all you can do. Now I think I'm gonna focus more in on my novel.
Yeah,
maybe take a break from short stories, but
I'm on the reverse. Like I've been popping out short stories like a couple times a week.
So if you still want short stories, look other to Todd's website, because that will be more active. Unless I say that now, and then a month from now I'm going to have 3 more short stories, and I haven't touched my novel.
Yeah, I gotta make some better short. Like I recently wrote a short story that was it was some of them are kind of dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Like this one it's called Goulash, and it's based off of my own actual. Well, like I have this weird memory pop up of somebody who was saying goulash, but they were saying it as they were like trying to pretend like they were speaking Russian or like some Eastern European language, and they were like goulash or something like that. And I had this memory of somebody saying it, and I'm like, who the hell was saying that? And I have no idea who said it. And I mean, I'm attributing this to my decline in mental brain power, but I was like, I'm going to write a story about some person that's basically losing their mind. And so there's a short story called Goulash on my website,
Take a look.
Which is honestly, it's probably not that good, but it's basically a day in the life of Todd. I forget everything. I should probably see a doctor, but yeah, I do have short stories on my website, toddbyron.com. I figured I'd make it easy to find, so I just made it my name.
If you look up my name, Andy, Andy space Camara, Camarra, we have 2 R's. We have now made it to the top of the list.
The top Andy.
The top Andy link is my website. It goes that, and then I think it's my Twitter or Instagram. I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's definitely, and then Facebook, and then I think college projects are still on there that you can read.
There you go. Look at some old college projects.
There's a Jane Austen essay if you want to read that. Stepping on the keyboard. I think that's a note that we need to sign off, because I don't want him to. This was a good episode. I don't want him to like shut down my computer.
Yeah, that would be an abrupt end.
It'd be something.
Yeah.
I don't have like a cool like profile picture thing.
Oh no.
I don't have that.
No. This is probably the best picture on the internet. If you're watching this on YouTube and you can see this.
And if we're not going to say what that is connected to, but you should know who that is.
Yeah,
if you existed. If you're a 90s child, you should know who that is.
Even though, I mean, this technically came out in the 2000s, but yes.
Well, yeah, but you were 90s, but you know what I mean? You were old enough to know what this is if it's early 2000s.
True. So
like my cousin was born in 2000. I bet you he doesn't know who that is.
Probably not. Yeah. But if you're listening on Spotify, you should check out the episode.
At the 49-minute mark.
Honestly, I think we're at like an hour 20.
Okay, the hour 10 mark.
Hour 10, yeah, something like that. Yeah. I mean, I honestly have no idea. I don't remember exactly when we started, but I'm pretty positive we're over an hour. But
and we said we were only gonna do 30 minutes. That's what happens when you just have like a little general topic and you can go every which way. It's much better that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's sounding like robots.
That's the key. If you want to do short episodes, we just get one narrow topic, like libraries.
That was definitely the that's the blemish in this wonderful podcast. It's not bad, but you can definitely tell we're spitting stuff just to make the episode go a little bit long.
It was a struggle, but responses haven't been as bad as I thought they were.
That's good.
From the one person that I talked to. But yeah, like I said, I got short stories coming out. I am working on a novel that I want to write next year, but I'm having a very difficult time writing the story for that. I think I've got this big world focused story, and it's hard to tie that to just one person. So that one person kind of needs to be in a position where through their interactions, I can tell this story that involves the entire world through them, and it's a really grand scale. Like the Fear of the Human book is on a big scale, but I mean, this is, big. So I want to do it right. So that's gonna take some time. I'm giving myself like 6 months to 5 to 6 months to really like flesh out all the details. And then next summer, I'll put the pen to paper. See
There
what
you
happens.
go.
Until then, though, I'll do the development. I'll have occasional short stories. Sometimes it'll be
And we'll have
my mental collapse in the form of a short story.
we'll have weekly podcast episodes.
We will be doing that.
I-
It's not. We're
I
not going
was-
anywhere.
We are not going anywhere. I was reading, they said after like episode 11, if it's not real, it's usually when it stops. And we're on episode 13. So we're plugging along here.
Yeah, and I mean,
Good.
honestly, it's picking up. We're getting offers from like NBC.
NPR.
We might be going to Peacock soon. The app. I don't know why they call it. I know why they call it Peacock, but probably not the best name for it.
Yeah, no.
I don't think most people realize that their NBC symbol is just
It's
a
a peacock.
feathers, but it kind of looks like the colors on my shirt. Just as a I'm trying to see how many times I can reference this T-shirt in this podcast. So it's at like 4 or 5 right now. I'll try to get another one up before we end, which is probably coming up soon.
I was going to say, I think we're coming to a close right now. Just make sure to check us out on all our social media platforms, which are located in the description and at the bottom of each episode.
Yeah.
I think both on
you know-
YouTube and is it on Spotify too?
So our
Yeah.
information should be attached to all of them. I will say though,
Okay.
we don't. I don't always attach our links in the video itself, but it's always in. If you click on our name at the bottom part, and it takes you to the main page for the podcast, the link should be in the top right hand side. It'll have our Twitter accounts, our websites.
I
Our
think my
merch
Instagram
store.
merch store, Instagram,
Instagram's not on
Facebook.
there. It's just Twitter.
Oh, that's fine. I don't.
I can put
I
Instagram on
I don't
there.
really use Instagram
Oh, right.
as
Okay,
much. It's okay.
Yeah, so but that's all there. Leave a like, leave a comment.
Share the video.
Yeah, I was gonna say share. I was actually about to say like share the video, but also it would be really awesome if every once in a while we'll tweet or put a.
I need to be
an
better.
ad
At I haven't tweeted an episode out in like maybe a month.
Not just our episodes, but our works. Like for example, you release
Oh,
stories.
okay,
So if you could retweet our tweets about our content, it helps grow the audience. Helps
or share it on Facebook or my LinkedIn, or take a screenshot of my Instagram story and put it on your own story. Although I think there's a different way to do it than screenshot. So you can still have the link available in my Instagram story. So you can click on the link instead of having to go to my bio and click on the link. It's one less step.
I'm not that familiar with Instagram.
It takes you all the way. They finally did it because before you were only allowed to do it when you had you had 20 million followers and a blue check mark to swipe up. But now you can just take, for any old sad soul like myself, you can have the link right on the story, and I make sure to have the actual story, not just the front page of my website. So it's super easy. So check that out. I'll have the whole Irrational series wrapped up. It's about 28 pages, so it's not going to take you 5 minutes to read. It'll just half an hour of your time would be great. Leave a comment. Let me know how it feels, because I'm thinking about submitting maybe a couple stories from that, at least the first one, the original Irrational, somewhere to try to get published in like a magazine or something.
Got to do it. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah. Oh, it's writing the cover letter that I don't want to do.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
That's like for jobs, it requires a job cover letter. I'm like, I don't really want to write.
The ones that I've submitted, I've never had to do a cover letter for a contest or anything like that.
I mean, I thought of.
If you're talking about like sending it to a magazine or something, that's
See, the one I thought about doing was a Chicago literary magazine. They're like cover letter. I'm like, I don't really want to do a cover letter.
Yikes.
Oh.
I should have a short story dropping soon. It's not really a short story so much as it's the so in this dystopia series I'm working on, it's like the year like 2060, and this call it. This guy is like he's running for president. This is his like announcement that he's running. I think that's what it was. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these short stories relating to the dystopia thing are just me kind of like
Brainstorming.
fleshing out. Well, we're brainstorming and just fleshing out the what's going on in the world and with the character. Like I've done this a couple times before. With I did a congressional hearing that involves the same guy, and then also I had this like sort of fictional news report about this virus that was released or something like that. You know, viruses. Huh. But a fun fact.
You know what?
What?
Go ahead. I was going to say I did the same thing with I had two stories that kind of fleshed out and introduced characters from my novel too. Not all of them. I was going to have a third one, but then my computer blew up and I lost it. So,
Right.
Side note. Go ahead. Finish your thought, and then we should wrap up. Because
yeah, true. I was gonna say real quick. So, in it's like up in the Arctic and stuff like that, we got this thing called permafrost, which is basically just like when the ground's frozen for 2 or more years, and then snow builds on that, ground freezes. Basically, it's frozen ground, And
we're also a science podcast, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know.
I've been doing a lot of research into climate science, so I'm basically a YouTube certified climate Scientologist.
Jesus,
scratch that from the records. Okay, let me just moving on. Anyways,
continue.
This frozen permafrost, it contains. For one thing, they've actually like in Siberia, they found like old mammoths, stuff like that, old animals that have been gone for years, like millions of years or thousands of years, whatever it is. And one of the things that is likely to be in this permafrost are ancient viruses that the world that hasn't been exposed to the world in however long. So one of the things that I touch on in this book is going to be a viral outbreak in, I think it's Alaska or something like that, where some virus releases.
I remember you talking about
Yeah, and so like that I had a short story that was covering this viral outbreak, and they're like, oh, we don't know what it is, but we're pretty sure it came from this permafrost, from this whatever, because that's supposedly if the permafrost starts melting and it gets pretty bad, like permafrost, like it takes a long time for it to build up. You can't just put it back together. So if it melts away, like it's supposed to release a lot of carbon dioxide. I mean, basically long term, Earth is going to get real hot. But anyways,
okay.
Despite how bad the future looks, it makes great storytelling content, or dystopian content, as I like to call it. And that's just one little thing that happened that's not even that important in this book, but it's part of the world building effort. Anyways,
I think on that depressing note, I think we should call it quits.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, because honestly,
we're getting close here. I will be by this point be in bed because I will be at work on New Year's Day.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I can't see that far into the future, and I can't remember that far into the past, so I don't know what will be happening about a week from now. I can say for great certainty though that I'll sleep at some point,
and we'll be recording another podcast episode.
Yeah, we'll be doing that for sure. Next week we'll probably be probably do something kind of like this. We're just talk for an hour and a half about mob and about the Tamburello crime family. Which, fun fact, I think we talked about it last week or the week before. We talked about the mob being in how to like create a world where the mob's able to come back to power. And so I wrote so I have these like. I know we're supposed to be closing up, but I'm just going to do this real quick. So I have this folder, which is basically got all my information for the dystopia series. I got a page where I wrote about the Tamburello crime family and how it makes a comeback in New Orleans. Fun fact, but I don't know why I started talking about this. Let's just wrap it up. All right.
Okay.
Everyone, have a great year.
All right.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
We'll see you in 2022.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
See you next year. Or
hopefully
if you're watching this in 2022.
Hello.
So.
Hello from the future.
Yeah, hello. Hopefully the world's still here. Hopefully Never mind.
All right.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, that was getting really, really dark.
Dark. I mean, it's because it's nighttime right now. It's
God,
currently
just end the
10:30 at night.
It is.
Yeah.
We recorded late this week
Yep. It's almost Christmas for us, but
for
it's
us.
almost the new year for you. So, yeah. Goodbye.